Solution Architect Interview Cheat Sheet 1. Core responsibilities. Understand business requirements gives translate into technical solutions. Design high-level architecture gives scalable, secure, and cost-efficient. Guide teams dev, infra, security with best practices. Ensure alignment with enterprise architecture standards. Communicate with both technical and non-technical stakeholders. 2. Key architecture principles. Scalability gives handle growth horizontal versus vertical scaling. Reliability and availability gives fault tolerance, redundancy, failover. Performance gives latency, throughput, caching, async processing. Security gives encryption, IAM, least privilege, compliance. Cost optimization gives pay-as-you-go, reserved versus on-demand. Maintainability gives modular design, documentation, CI/CD. 3. System design framework. When asked to design a system, follow this structure. Requirements gathering functional. What system must do? Non-functional. Scalability, latency, uptime, compliance. High-level architecture clients gives API gateway, gives services, gives DB, gives caching, gives monitoring. Component design, break into modules, front-end, back-end, DB messaging, integrations. Data management. SQL versus no SQL, sharding, partitioning, CAP theorem, security authentication, OAuth, JWT authorization, RBAC, ABAC. Data encryption in transit and rest. Deployment and ops CI/CD, containers, Docker orchestration, Kubernetes monitoring for cloud platforms, Age SEC2, S3, RDS, Lambda, API Gateway, IAM, VPC, Azure App Services, AKS Functions, Cosmos DB, GCP GKE Cloud Functions, BigQuery, Pub, Sub. Always design cloud native, vendor agnostic where possible. 5. Architecture styles. Monolithic gives simple but hard to scale. Microservices gives independent services, better scaling, needs orchestration. Serverless gives event-driven, cost-efficient for variable workloads. Event-driven gives Kafka, RABBITMQ, Pub Sub for async processing. SOA service-oriented architecture gives services plus ESB6. Databases. Relational SQL gives ACID compliance, joins MySQL, PostgreSQL, SQL Server. NoSQL gives high scalability, flexible schema, key value Redis, DynamoDB document, MongoDB, Cosmos DB column, Cassandra, Graph, Neo4j. 7. Integration patterns, REST APIs, GraphQL, gRPC. Messaging gives Kafka, RabbitMQ, SQS. Event sourcing and CQRS, ETL, ELT for data pipelines. 8. Security checklist. IAM gives RBAC, ABAC, MFA, secure APIs. OAuth, OpenED Connect. JWT, data protection gives TLS encryption at rest. Compliance gives GDPR, HIPAA SOC 2, Zero Trust architecture. 9. Monitoring and reliability observability, logs, metrics, traces, monitoring tools, Prometheus, Grafana, Elk, CloudWatch, reliability patterns, circuit breaker, retries with backoff bulkheads. SLA/SLI, define availability and reliability metrics. 10. Common interview questions, system design, Netflix, WhatsApp, Uber clone. How would you scale a payment gateway? Design a multi-tenant SaaS system. Cloud and infra difference between load balancer versus API gateway. How to secure hybrid cloud architecture. When to use serverless versus containers. Data and integration CAP theorem explained. Event-driven versus request response. SKL versus NoSQL decision-making. Behavioral leadership example of handling conflicting stakeholder requirements. How do you ensure security in your designs? How do you communicate complex designs to business users? 11. STAR method for behavioral cues. Situation gives context. Task gives your responsibility. Action gives what you did. Result gives measurable outcome. Pro tip: always balance trade-offs in your answers. Employers want to see that you can identify alternatives, choose based on requirements, explain why one approach is better for the situation.